hesitation move on Luka. Shoots the three and buries it. Steph Curry. Night.
Let's go. United we stand and divided we fall.
The Dubs dynasty is still very much alive.
For the first time ever, he's an NBA Finals MVP. Steph Curry.
With Klay Thompson departing this offseason for Dallas, it ends an all-time run by the Warriors' Big Three. I mean, just pause. Take a look here at these accomplishments that we're seeing. They've experienced some of the most success that we have ever seen from any trio that won 4 titles together. That was top of mind when I caught up with Steph Curry and Steve Kerr before their quest for an Olympic gold medal. This is our conversation.
The run is not done. The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions.
4 championships in 8 years.
Klay Thompson is on his way to the Dallas Mavericks.
Steph, one of the last times that you and I did this, you told me that it didn't even feel close to the last dance. When did that change?
It's something that I never imagined would be a reality, but you want him to be happy. So it does suck losing Klay. And there's no 2 ways around it. You have to be able to celebrate what we accomplished, but then be able to move on.
Any way you look at it, Steph, Klay, Draymond are kind of the 3 founding fathers of this thing.
I'm very grateful for my time at Golden State. I just felt like moving on could just re-energize me and do something special for the rest of my career.
I know we're all going to have that date circled when he comes back to Chase, and that will be one of the strangest, most emotional nights of all of our careers, for sure.
The Golden State Warriors, they're on top of the NBA world.
Do you think we're ever going to see another dynasty like what you guys built again?
I don't think so. That's 11 years or almost 12 years of championship relevancy built around a certain core.
4 of them, baby. What they gonna say now?
It's kind of hard to believe that this is your first Olympics.
Yeah.
Of all the things that you've done, why was this the one that you wanted to do?
I've always wanted to play, represent Team USA. I played in 2010 and 2014 on the World Championship teams. We've had some challenges in the World Championships the last couple years, and just the way that the stars aligned again for me to be healthy. This team that we've assembled is amazing. For me, I knew there's a chapter closing on when being an Olympic athlete would close. So this is probably my first and only opportunity to do it. So I'm excited about it.
This is most likely the last Olympics for Steph, LeBron. It's so much fun seeing these two together because they've had these battles over the years, so many battles. And now to collaborate and to see them working together as leaders and setting a tone for the whole team in practice, it's incredible to watch.
Still early in the process, but you can see like the level, the high IQ, the motor he's talking about, the will to continue to achieve at the highest level. Like we all know what it takes, and this is another way to express just how much we love playing basketball. And when you get to play with other guys that have been on the same shoes you have for however long, it's exciting. So we're leaning into that energy heavily, and hopefully it's enough to carry us to another goal.
You've been around Steph more than anyone, and it was interesting to hear him kind of contextualize, I don't get many firsts anymore. There's not many basketball firsts that I have. Why is he so excited about this opportunity?
Well, I mean, I think it goes to what you just said, what he just said. It's the first, maybe the last time he hasn't competed for an Olympic gold before. He gets to team up with LeBron James for the first time, all of those things. But also when you look at the Warriors the past couple seasons, really since that championship that you highlighted in that interview, the vibe has been different. They've gone through far more downs than they had in the past 10 years. That joy that was so important to the Warriors has been fleeting a little bit. You see him in this environment. There's just so much pure basketball joy. You're with the biggest basketball junkies in the country, and he's feeding off of that right now.
Well, and he said, he's a showman.
Yeah.
And when he's posing for the camera at the baseline and doing all of those things, it's the Golden State Warriors.
It's fun.
And the Warriors are in a position right now that they really haven't been in a very, very long time. Because if you take a look right now, according to ESPN Bet, they have 40-1 preseason odds to win the title. Those are the longest odds entering a season since 2012-13. That's when Steph was 24 years old. Oof. It's hard to believe it, right? He's entering his 16th season in the league. He'll be 37 next March. He's still producing, though, at an elite level. He says, you know what, he's still in his prime, but Klay's gone. There's a new era of the Dubs that's upon us. They've added some solid role players. I'm looking at Buddy Hield. I'm looking at DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, slow-mo. But, Zach, do you think the Warriors have done enough, ultimately, to continue to build around Steph Curry and maximize this prime here?
It depends what your standard is. I mean, this is what happens to great teams. They get old and they go down the standings. Steph Curry riding out his career on a good team, and the Warriors are a good team, winning 45, 46 games in the West. That ain't easy. Steph Curry riding out his career on that kind of team with young guys coming up, that's a nice, honorable way to end your career. It's not a title team. I don't think it's really close to a title team. And the question the Warriors have to ask themselves is, they're in on these Lowry market and trade talks to the degree those talks are happening. What is the right price for the Warriors to give up out of their young players and their future assets? And how good, depending on what goes out the door, how good is the team that Lowry Markkanen is walking into? Is that really a championship team? Is it really a team that's worth throwing a lot of your future out the door to get Lowry Markkanen? And the guy that I think this is going to coalesce around in the next week or so as the league gathers in Las Vegas is Jonathan Kuminga, who's eligible for an extension, whose role has gone up and down with the Warriors. He is the best young player on the team, the blue chip of the two timelines thing that was kind of an accident. And I just am fascinated to see what their answer to that question turns out to be.
Well, here's the date to keep an eye on, August 6th. Write it down.
Yep.
That is the first day that Lowry Markkanen can become renegotiation eligible. Utah right now is sitting on $34 million in cap space. They've signed nobody. Everybody else has gone out and done their business. They have not signed anything. It's also synonymous that it's 6 months from the trade deadline. So if Markkanen signs the extension on August 6th, he's still eligible to be traded on February 6th. If he signs it after, he's off the board here. So that's the date to keep an eye on as far as for Markkanen if Golden State is in play.
Right, and it goes back to what we were talking about with the Heat, which is who are the dance partners the Warriors can get. Look, I was told that even last trade deadline, the Warriors wanted to shake things up, but the core group of that team said, no, let us stick together. And the front office said, okay. You see how that season turned out, so now they enter this season saying, we need to make moves.
Well, and to your point about dance partners, we heard Paul George say on his podcast that he really wanted to go to Golden State, but that's not a dance that the Clippers wanted to do. It's not like teams are lining up to help the four-time champion Golden State Warriors, particularly teams in their same conference. So that's a dance they're going to have to do. I don't know whether or not the Warriors are going to continue to try to go big game hunting this offseason because there's not a whole lot of big game left. But it is clear that star players, they love playing with Steph Curry. It's evident in Team USA's praise for the four-time champ.
Who are you most excited to play alongside this summer?
Steph. I'm going to say, I'll say Steph.
This guy named Steph Curry is phenomenal to play with. He was on my team today, and I got so many open looks.
Just happy to be here. I mean, I'm playing with Hall of Famers. Curry.
I played with him in 14. Both of our games have developed all the way from 14, 10 years ago.
Playing with some amazing talent like this is something you can't take for granted.
I mean, everybody wants to play with Steph Curry. It's just not necessarily reflected in what they were able to do this offseason. So let's go ahead, Bobby, to October, if you could be Mr. October for us here for a second. And the new look Golden State Warriors, the 3D lineup, let's play with it a little bit.
I really like what they did.
Yeah?
I mean, we have DeAnthony Melton in the starting lineup right now. Look at their bench. They got Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody. It's interchangeable. You could put Moody in for Wiggins here. Their depth. I really like their depth. Is it gets you into the top 6? I don't think so. Can it get you more than 46 wins here? Here's what we're talking about from a flexibility standpoint.
Yeah.
We're talking about Markkanen as far as where they are. The apron. We've talked about the apron. They are hard capped at the first apron. They're only $742,000 below. So if they're going to send out more money in a trade and take back Markkanen's $18 million, it's not going to work. And then here's what their picks are. Mm-hmm. They have a 2026, 2028, 2030, which is top 21 to 30 protected. They can move that. If San Antonio gets in play for Markkanen, let's say, they have a loaded draft picks as far as. And then The players are off the board. The 3 players are just signed free agent contracts. They cannot be traded until December 15th. Right. So when you're looking at it, and Zach made a mention about Jonathan Kuminga, if you're not certain about paying Markkanen in Utah, are you certain about paying Kuminga on a new extension? Because the numbers are basically going to be comparable.
Right, fair. I'm looking at this, though, and you mentioned not top 6. For Golden State, we talk so much about this with LeBron James, saving his legs, not playing that extra play-in game or play-in game or 2. With Steph Curry and an aging roster, how important is that to be in the top 6?
It's huge. I mean, we talked about Miami before. Miami's been kind of hanging around that play-in, and it's cost them. Certainly Jimmy Butler gets hurt in that Philadelphia game. They've got to be in the top 6 if this team is going to advance. And now we look at Memphis, we look at Houston, we look at certainly some of the younger teams, Oklahoma City. I mean, we can go through the list here. They're not in the top 6 here. For them to go through 2 rounds of play-in and then try to advance with an older Steph Curry, that's going to be a challenge.
And they're a little hamstrung, as you just laid out, in what options they have to continue to build this roster. Hey.